culture in an acquisition makes or break, the acquisition. The goal is not to replace one culture with another, but blend it so we can take the best of both.
You had a fun fact that you'd like to mention about Fraîche.
We almost died, a few times, as a business in 6 years. We had this crazy story with the SVB bank also. We had all of our money in this bank, and when unfortunately they went bankrupt, it was a tough 48, 72 hours until we understood that we were going to be able to have our money back.
In your entrepreneur journey, what is your favorite piece of cake?
Seeing my product in action and seeing the impact it could have in people's life at work, consuming our food multiple times a week. We're maybe one of the biggest restaurants in New York City, which is fun.
What was the most unusual request from a client you have ever got in your career? Third episode of the podcast by Audactus. After two first episodes held with Stéphane Publi and Xavier Volatier, we are continuing our interview series of this first season. As a Christmas present, today we are very thrilled to host Tximista, Lizarazu, Director of B2B Business Development at Cook Unity and founder of Fraîche, acquired in 2025. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
We start this day with the podcast recording. And usually, Jim, what is your morning routine as an entrepreneur?
It's a deep question, but trying to hit the gym as much as possible when I can. When I can't, it's just starting my day with a little coffee and looking at my to-do for the list and trying to prioritize, to make sure I'm on track for my day and focusing on the right things.
And I'm sure very busy days. So, Jim, I'd like to start this interview with a quick presentation of your career. So, Jim, you are originally born and raised in Pays Basque, southwest of France. You moved in the US 8 to 9 years ago.
Yep.
Right? And what I'd like to emphasize today, it's your soul of entrepreneur. And as you say, it's really part of the family DNA.
Yes, for sure.
And as a proof of this DNA, you founded Fraîche in 2019 in New York with a co-founder. And previously, and we'll have many opportunities to discuss about Fraîche, but previously you also led a project of premium food cart for a very famous bakery, Le Pain Quotidien, here in New York.
Yep.
And I guess it led also to your passion for the food industry, food and beverage, and then the creation of Fraîche. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yes.
And then before that, while you were a student, you started a business of sportswear with a unique dual-face design. And then you reached up to 100,000 units sold, which is pretty honorable figures.
Yeah, for sure. That was a fun story. Started that because I was bored, in my business school, and I had some time, to think about business ideas. And started this with a simple idea, which was printing faces of famous football players inside, screaming their joy, and they were putting the T-shirts on their face and having instead, the face of those famous football players. And then I did also some tennis players, and we did a nice collaboration with Celio during the World Cup in 2018, where we were in 350 shops or something all over France.
And you had your face.
And my face was actually, because I had a co-founder back then. Also, he was the designer designing all those faces. But we had no money. We did that really on the side. So I also did the modeling part of it, which was kind of fun. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so back to Fraîche.
Yeah.
Let's make a quick introduction about the business. So really, the value proposition, it's Julie, your partner, and you have at heart to deliver in-office, casual, and healthy meals through a unique system of smart fridge combined with the app to the employee. And on a daily basis, you bring fresh food from a curation of very premium restaurant here in New York.
Fast casual brands of New York,
Yeah, and goods locally sourced. And then you have in 2025 almost 20 fridges in place.
A bit more than that,
Yeah, and then you mentioned you're about to sign maybe 40 Fraîche or to start with 40.
Since the acquisition, we approximately doubled that already.
Which is great. And then so far you have a 10,000 unique user monthly, which are pretty impressive figures. And then you grew the business over the last 3 years with a 3-digit growth curve, which is also very nice and impressive figures. And then you count a great list of S&P 500 clients here in New York, and now, thanks to Cook Unity, far beyond in the US and in the Canada. And you had a fun fact that you'd like to mention about Fraîche.
Yeah, I mean, we almost died, a few times, as a business in 6 years due to a lot of things. I mean, COVID has been the first thing hitting us after just 6 months being in business. So that was tough to swallow, but we kept going, knowing that, when people were going to come back to the office, it was going to be a nice option because of the flexibility it offers, to the company and the employees themselves. So we kept going. And now the other fun fact is, we had this crazy story with the SVB bank. Also, we had all of our money in this bank, and when unfortunately they went bankrupt and shut down, and then were reacquired for a couple of days, we didn't know what was going to happen. So it was a tough 48, 72 hours until we understood that we were going to be able to have our money back. But for for 2 days, we didn't know. So we were pretty stressed. Yes, it was one of the tough story.
That's a really nice one. Okay, thank you, Txim. So let's start this interview with the market of the in-office food, and in particular the smart fridge. So maybe as an introduction, there is really a before and after pandemic for that market. We know that in the past, the corporate meal market used to be dominated by large cafeteria, by corporate dining services. And then with the pandemic, the hybrid work model really struck their business model, that's for sure. And in parallel, in the same time, after the pandemic, we observe some new entrants that have emerged offering hot meal delivery and catering services. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Easy Cater.
With their B2B offerings,
Yeah, and what's as a result, and it could be also considered as a benefit, the market has significantly expanded to all size of offices, and it opened the door for your business as well. So my first question is, what is your estimate of the target addressable market here in the US for the in-office meal? And then what are the main customer segments that you'd like to reach?
Yes, so I mean, first, just to come back to the pandemic, we believed in the model before the pandemic, and just because we were going to provide more flexibility, to companies, and it's true that the pandemic actually opened even more doors, because now companies are trying to bring back their employees at the office, so they are investing more in those perks to make the office a nicer place, because before it was just you had to go to the office. Now, with a lot of offices, with a lot of companies, you don't have to go to the office, but the employer is pushing you to come back and offering perks to make the experience more exciting. So food is always the most important perk after your salary. Mm-hmm. You have maybe your health insurance, and then it's the food perk you're going to have at the office. But yeah, our model is so flexible that we can be in any offices with more than 30 people at the office each day if the company decides to subsidize and invest really in this wellness program by offering a credit or an allowance, for employees to be able to use the fridge. So we can start very, very small. And so that's why we're able to go to satellite offices. We have some clients, they have huge offices, full cafeteria. We can be a complement in this cafeteria also for a 24/7 offering. But for now, we are mostly used as the only solution, but for the satellite offices. So with some of the S&P 500, companies we're working with, we're mostly the main option for those 30 to 300, 400 people offices, and they have the full cafeteria and the big office. So it's a way to also have a service for the small offices, so employees are not disappointed to be in those small satellite offices where most of the population is in the big office.
So we see that this market has many edge. What are the main drivers for the development of this market in the future?
I mean, for us, for Community and Fraîche, we're looking at a lot of different verticals, factories, partnership with real estate owners, brokers, to be able to go to different sort of amenity spaces, lobbies of buildings. The goal is to have those community meals, accessible to as many people as possible. And again, with the flexibility of our model, we're able to be mostly everywhere, and we're going to come back to that with the acquisition and community. But we have the infrastructure now to be present in the entire country. We're covering 95% of the territory, which is exciting. So we can launch those fridges all over the country, basically.
Yeah, that's great. And I just wanted to mention something that we know, and you discuss about that also. 50% of the companies now offer a perk.
Yeah.
So it's a good driver for the development of the market. And I guess in the big city like New York, it's up to 75%.
Yeah.
But with the return to office being now quite well established, from my understanding, are you afraid that this company could reverse their strategy and their investment in these perks in the future?
I mean, I think the return to the office has been a conversation for the last 5 years, and you had a lot of waves, and some companies came back to what they said, and then they changed their strategy. So it's I would say it's still an ongoing conversation. It depends of the industries, it depends of the type of companies. So it's hard to give like a direct, strict answer, but we're working actually on a big deal with top 10 company in the world where they are pushing now for everyone to come back at the office 5 days a week. And yeah.
Well, we saw it, for example, I think in the financial services, they had a very strong move asking for the JP Morgan. Now they have a head office, impressive head office in New York, so they have to fill in these square meters in New York, and then so they are asking all their employees to be 5 days a week at the office. So I guess it's a good driver as well. All right, thank you for this first section, Txim. So the next step is really to speak about this partnership between Fraîche and Community. You made this strategic move earlier this year, early Q1. 2025, Q1. And then Community is, let's just make a quick introduction, as even if we see some advertisement in the subway in New York those days. Community is a B2C and then B2B meal delivery platform that connects the independent chef, cooking chef, with consumers through a subscription model.
Yeah.
It was created in 2016 here in New York, so it's not a new company, but it's not that old. And it generated 600 million annual recurring revenue last year in 2024, and then counts up to 100,000 customers. So I'd like just to revisit this partnership with Community. Can you walk us through what this partnership brings to the table for you, and how it gives you a competitive advantage or a competitive edge over your direct competitors?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is, our national capabilities. When we started Fraîche, we have a very local supply chain. We were only able to focus on New York City and around New York City. We basically lost some opportunities. We lost some deals because we were not a national player, and we were not able to launch, with a client that wanted to have us in all their offices in the US. Now we have conversations with companies. They have like 50 offices in the US, and we're able to serve that with Community because we have a national presence. We're available in 95% of the territory. We have 7 kitchens in the US covering 95% of the territory. A new kitchen now in Toronto as well. So we're starting to also see some traction in the Canadian market. So that's the first thing. production capabilities. We're producing more than 1 million meals a week today with Community. So it's those are big numbers. And with the ambition that we have with the B2B play and the smart fridges, that's good to be able to have that production muscle behind, and logistic muscle as well, because we're doing 80% of our deliveries ourselves, also with our own drivers, which allows us to have a very, very good experience also at scale in the US.
Okay, and then as you mentioned, it unlock this partnership, the national footprint.
Yeah.
So it's a great achievement for you. Of course, in the same time, you have increasingly expanded your resources and marketing and commercial resources. How have you adjusted your sales strategy and then your commercial team to face this market, to cover this market with these new resources?
Yeah, sorry, maybe to just come back to what we were saying, the diversity also is a big thing, food diversity. We have like more than 300 recipes now. And, we realized very early on that people wanted to see a lot of different things in those fridges. And, changing the menu all the time is
the key challenge,
Yeah, it's tough. So now we're able to really have different things every single day, which is very powerful. And so when it comes to the sales engine, I mean, we have dedicated account executives per market, focusing on different things, like corporations in New York City, East Coast versus West Coast. We have someone also dedicated to factories all over the US, because we see a lot of traction there. Then it comes back to, having, different ICPs, a strategy per ICP, and people executing on those, go-to-market strategies per ICPs. And we were able to also build some structure around that with very clean dashboard. Stuff that we were not able to do before because of lack of resources, and also that was like mostly led by me, and I had Alex that also in my team supporting me. And I have a team of the sales team is like 12 people in the B2B team of Community. So we're able to address a lot of different verticals and markets with this team, and hopefully in the next couple of months we're going to prove all those verticals are working, or at least a good portion of those, and we're going to be able to double down and invest more in those verticals once we prove one vertical is working better than another. So it's exciting to have more resources and know that if we see something working, we can push harder.
And that makes a great transition to the next question and about the plan for the future. What are your ambition for the 3 next years, and do you have any? And you mentioned some of them, but some new customer segment that you would like to reach in the future.
I think for major cities like New York City, San Francisco, Chicago, etc., major hubs, we also have a hot meal product. So having like a sort of like click and collect model where you have the smart fridges for the day-to-day, 24/7 access. And when you're very picky with your food needs, or you have particular diet restrictions or allergens, stuff like that in your diet, you can also order hot meals. And those two products are working hand in hand. So we're trying to build this product with the hot meal and the smart fridges, and I think it will cover every single need, for those major cities and those tech companies in those major cities. And then, as I was saying a little bit earlier, we really believe in also going into food deserts, because unfortunately in the US, in a big portion of the territory, you need to drive 30 minutes to access healthy food, quality food, and so if we can hack those food desert with our smart fridges, in factories, but not only in offices, also in food desert, we can really have a huge impact at scale by feeding people with better quality food when they are not able to have access to quality food and healthy food. So.
That's great. And then you mentioned also, has Cookuni opened also to Canada?
Yeah.
You had a first opportunity there?
Yeah.
Fraîche?
Actually, last week, yes, we have a first opportunity in Canada. So we are going to work on our technological infrastructure to be able to be more present there and start scaling there. But we have a nice first opportunity there, which is exciting. Yeah.
You want to translate the app in French?
Actually, we have to do that. It's not for a smart fridge this time, but hopefully for a smart fridge soon. And but our technology basically is not completely set up for this market yet. But it's we can do that quickly. But we were waiting for a little bit of momentum, which is coming.
So Txim, I'd like to walk you through this partnership and discuss about the integration.
Yeah.
As you know, at Audactus, we are passionate about strategy and transformation challenges, and especially the one that come with this kind of post-acquisition integration. So I'd like to ask you a couple of questions on that regard. And the first one is, what are the biggest operational challenges during the integration of Fraîche into the Cookuni setup?
And from being on your own for so many years, with taking decisions super fast, limited processes, to, joining a big group like that, even if it's still a startup, it's a huge startup, 600 employees. So I would say like balancing, the quick execution of a very early stage startup with, all the processes of a much bigger company. Keeping this culture of like moving very fast and iterating very fast, but adapting also to, sometimes having to ask permission to do stuff and managing all those processes is a challenge.
Yeah, and how did you deal with that? How did you prepare what we call the D1 and the post D1?
Yeah.
Have you set a plan with a progressive roadmap of covering the integration of the Fraîche asset into Cookuni?
Yes, 100%. I mean, we had a 3 months roadmap, but to be honest, the main thing was to be able to integrate the team very quickly, make sure the team feels at home, at Cookuni, and then the second thing was making sure we can transition cleanly 100% of our clients by not, stressing them too much, because for them it's on paper it's not a big change, but they could think it's a big change, because they never know if we're going to stay, they're going to keep their relationships with us, the founders, Julie and I, or, account managers or the salespeople, etc. So yeah, that was those were the two most important things.
And how did you deal that were smooth with the client? They were surprised, disappointed?
I mean, they were feeling good because they understood we were going to stay, and we were there to stay also because we had a much bigger plan and ambition with the acquisition. But we took the time to sit down with them and to go through the entire process and the changes with them to make sure they are not skeptical about what was going to come next. And also we tried to package it in a way that it was going to be good for them, because they had, they were going to have access to a better products, a wider range of diversity in the food menu mix, stuff like that, and that the technology also was going to continue to improve, because we were going to have more resources, to invest in the product and the experience, etc., etc.
And then, as you mentioned, in those companies, the other cities and offices in those cities now can enjoy
exactly.
Fraîche fridge as well, and not only in New York.
Exactly, yeah.
The next question is related to something that matters a lot, which is the corporate culture. And we know that up to 50% of the mergers sometimes come to a fail due to that topic. And it's really important to take it into consideration in your transition plan and to keep an eye on that. Clay Christensen from Harvard has a very nice work paper about that. And
I'd love to read this one. You share with me.
You should, yeah. And then, especially when it comes to integrate a startup in a large corp, what is your recommendation? What are your feedback on this one?
In first, I agree 100%. The culture in an acquisition makes or break, the acquisition, and we understood that very quickly. So I think the importance is to leverage the strength of like both companies. The goal is not to replace one culture with another, but blend it, so we can take the best of both. And I think that's what the CEO of Cook-Unity told me right away. He told me like, we don't want you to be Cook-Unity. You need to come with what you think is working also with you, and try to spread that around. If you have good values and you think you can bring something to the company, please bring it.
Yeah. The next question is back to the due diligence and the negotiation period. We know that because at some point I was along you during this period. It's very stressful. And how you and Julie, again your partner, and hi Julie, manage the communication with the teams.
Yeah.
And what are the pitfalls we have to avoid? Absolutely.
That's a great question, and it's not easy when you don't really know what's going to happen, but you need to be as transparent as possible, without showing too many information, but stay calm, and you need to make them feel, you have the situation under control, and no matter what happens, you'll find a way to make it work, so they can stay focused on their work without being scared that they're going to lose their job. So we always told them we were making that a priority, and I think we had enough trust and confidence in each other, to feel good, and because we were also updating them often with a little bit of information, so they know what's happening, without annoying them, with the details, which sometimes are very complicated even for us with the entire context. So, yeah.
It's true that the core team almost joined the company from the D1, and they're still there in this Cook-Unity venture, which is really great. Yeah. So I guess it looks like a family.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next question, it's looking back to those lessons and your experience of this merger, this partnership, let's call it this way. Yeah. What would be your advice for another entrepreneur starting this similar process, and maybe doing a breakdown between the founder situation and then the acquirer also standpoint?
I mean, on our end, I think preparing early, having enough time and margin, to make that happen is important, because it's always taking much longer than what you expect. So, we started, to talk to a few strategic acquirers when we were raising money, also to have a backup plan and to have different opportunities and scenarios. And I'm glad we did that, because without having started that at the same time, it would have been impossible, to close the deal on time, because also we had some cash constraints, of course. And for the acquirer, I think trying to keep this entrepreneurial mindset and muscle with the founders joining, and not considering them as just regular employees, because they're bringing much more than that, is very important. And if I had to acquire a company myself, I would try to understand what those founders want to do, and why are they joining the journey, and then maybe try to. It's never easy, because competing priorities, and especially when you join a company growing that fast, but supporting the journey, the entrepreneurs, so they understand quickly how the company works and how they can integrate as fast as possible to be part of the new company, fully culturally integrated in the company, etc., as soon as possible, so they can start doing their work very, very quickly.
Okay, so this third section comes to the end. Yeah. So let's talk about you, Txim, and your career, and you as an entrepreneur. And with the first question, I have a surprise for you, a friend of us.
Nice.
Someone who 1 year ago introduced us each other. And I think he has a question for you to start this section.
Okay.
Salut mon Txim. I hope you're doing well. I'm sure you were not expecting me to talk here, but here I am. A very small question for you. Now that you're a very successful entrepreneur, what could be the main key elements you could share to us to bring and generate success? I hope to see you soon.
Wow, this is such a broad question.
And yeah,
thank you,
I think this is your secret sauce. And thank you, Jean.
Yeah.
We will have the video embedded in the editing. So, Jim.
I mean, I think the most important thing is to be passionate and believe in in your product, in your mission, you need to entertain that. You need to choose a vertical sector or product that is exciting for you. If you want to have an impact, whatever the impact is, you need to find something that is gonna make you feel good about the outcome you're trying to have. So that would be one. Then it requires a lot of energy, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of things, of course. Yeah. But I don't have a secret sauce to be successful. That will be too easy. But yes, one thing is you need to do something you care about. It's not just a work; it's your life when you're an entrepreneur. So if you don't do something you really care about, it's making it very, very much harder. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess also for the next question, and the entrepreneur is also a lot about resilience, because sometimes the morning good news, evening bad news. So we know the cycle. Yeah. It's
usually you have multiple bad news, multiple good news in the same day.
Yeah, it's so for the heart it's not that good, but anyway. Yeah. And this question it can be perceived as paradoxical. But at some point, the bigger is the company, the more soul you can feel, because the specialization, the pressure from the investors, sometimes the cultural gap, as we mentioned, is getting bigger and bigger. So it's harder for you to get the whole picture, and also to have a clear and straight decision-making process compared to the very, very early stage. So what was your greatest moment of loneliness in your career of entrepreneur?
I think the last year, not knowing if your company is gonna still exist in a month or 2 months, because you have like huge cash constraint and it's hard to raise money. It's tough. I think, I mentioned the SVB case. That was a tough one. COVID was a tough one also, especially when your company is like 6 months old and you just started with a few clients, and the world is completely collapsing, and you don't know what's gonna happen, and you don't know when it's gonna end. That was a tough one. And then all the different fundraising we did along the way, until like the last one we did 2 years ago, where we literally had like a couple of weeks of cash in the bank, and kind of last minute we met someone who invested like a pretty big check in less than 24 hours, and we went from like being completely dead and sad and disappointed and all the emotions you can have to starting again, Fraîche. So yeah, does that answer the question?
yeah, sure, thank you. Then the next question is, it can be a tricky question, but every entrepreneur has this configuration. How do you handle the relationship with your investors? What are the best practices?
First, it's very important, especially for us. We had a lot of investors, and I think it's important to be very transparent and let them know what's happening. So sending a monthly newsletter or quarterly, depending on the situation, the momentum, the amount of work, depending on, again, the phase of the company, and also trying to make them feel, they're part of this and you're asking for their help. So I was always finishing my newsletters with asks, requests from my investors, sharing a few KPIs, trying to have something that is, pretty structured, not too long, and that they can read very quickly in 2-3 minutes. And but again, the ask is always important because it's a way for them to be involved and feel like also you need them. So yeah, trying to be very transparent.
Good. So last question before ending this last section. In your entrepreneur journey, finally, what is your favorite piece of cake in this job?
I think seeing what we build have a real use case and is used in the real world is always has been important to me. Seeing my product in action, that's the good thing about hardware. Is that it's like it's real, it's live, but the negative of that is that it's also much harder. You have like so many constraints, scalability constraints, etc. But I think having something that really exists in the real world, that is not only software and online, has been exciting, and seeing the impact it could have in people's life at work by consuming our food multiple times a week. We're maybe one of the biggest restaurant in New York City, which is fun to see with all the users that we are feeding every day. So
thank you, Txim, for this interview, but we have a last part, which is kind of a recurring section, what we call a rapid fire round. So I just explain quickly the rules. So you must answer this series as quick question with brief responses, not too much elaboration. And if you have no answer, then you can say joker.
Okay.
Are you ready?
How many jokers do I have?
Just one.
Just one. Okay.
Okay. So let's start with the first one. What was the most unusual request from a client you have ever got in your career?
Let's focus on Fraîche, because I don't remember what happened before, but maybe to have like alcohol in the fridge, like to have like wine in the fridges. Like we had this request actually many times.
But I need Budweiser.
Or red wine for lunch, like very French.
Yeah. Okay. What is the most important value for you in the business and the management?
Integrity, doing what you say you are going to do, being aligned, with yourself and your values.
What is the project or the achievement you are the most proud of?
I mean, it's pretty broad, but just like, starting this from scratch, and being able to feed, dozens of thousands of people every week, every month, in one of the most competitive market in the world is not bad.
Yeah. And we're really happy about that. What is your favorite industry beyond the food and beverage business?
I would say definitely sports. Maybe my next business, we'll see. And I also like wellness, healthcare, wellness as a whole. A lot of things to do. And just to add on that, sorry, I need to be quick, but like I think in the US, like the healthcare sector is completely broken, the food sector is completely broken, so that's why also it opened opportunities, and those are exciting sectors.
But the sport business worked very well.
The sport business worked very well, so maybe
we see
I need to think about it in another.
The Formula One, for example, it's a very good investment.
Yeah, for sure.
It might be too late now.
Yeah. Paddle.
Paddle is the next one. It could have been a question as well. In another life, what would have been your other job if you could do it again?
Paddle player.
Huh?
I would have been a professional paddle player. It's maybe not too late. I still have a few years.
Last time we had a soccer player and then a paddle player. We'll have a good team at the end of this season.
So nobody wants to work in an office anymore. Like everybody wants to be like in another world. I want to be an athlete. That's funny. Okay.
Back to the business. If you would be a PE investor, what would be the stage you would like to cover the most?
I mean, I would say very early stage, because it's more about the people than the product. And I think it's exciting to try to understand the motivation, behind a founder, why they are doing that, why is it important for them, why they want to solve, these particular problems. So yeah, we'll say very, very early actually. And that's also high risk, but very high reward as well. So I think that's more my personality.
Yeah, you need a lot of empathy as well for that stage, I guess. Three next question, tennis or paddle? So we mentioned it.
I would have said tennis a couple of years ago, but now paddle.
You're switching your mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if you switch your mind as well for this one. Pays Basque or New York?
No, Basque Country by far, for the soul, and maybe New York for like the energy and the excitement.
Yeah. And last one, it's kind of private joke. Oktoberfest or spring break?
And can I use my joker?
Yeah.
No, but Oktoberfest for sure. It's a fun. It's kind of like chaotic and at the same time very organized. Like German people. So it's a good balance.
Yeah. Okay, so this interview come to the end. Thank you, Txim. We know that your schedule is pretty busy and you have a lot of opportunities in the pipe. And thank you for this insightful conversation.
Of course. Thank you so much. That was a pleasure being here, my friend.
So that was our third podcast by Audactus. Audactus is a New York-based management consulting firm specializing in strategy and transformation for the financial industry, the professional services, and the investors. We help clients solve questions about growth, organization effectiveness, risk management, and of course, integration post-acquisition. Among our clients, we are thrilled to have Crédit Agricole CIB, CIC. We had at some point Fraîche in the past as well, Société Générale or AXA. To learn more about Audactus, please visit our website on www.audactus.com. Thank you for having watched and listened us on this podcast. More interviews to come in the upcoming weeks on leadership tales and strategy and transformation journeys. Please follow us on our social channels, YouTube, LinkedIn or Spotify. Thank you and bye.